Then Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came up to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, Do you not see all these things? Assuredly I say to you, not one stone will be left here upon another, that shall not be thrown down. Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming, and of the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said to him, Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation, and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached to all the world, as a witness to all the nations. And then the end will come. My name's Arthur. Thank you for joining me as we continue to meditate in Matthew chapter 24, looking at the first part of this chapter. Jesus has departed from the temple for the last time and gone with his disciples across the Kidron Valley and seated himself on the Mount of Olives, overlooking the temple. And the disciples ask him, Tell us, when will these things be? That is, when will Jerusalem be desolated and destroyed? And when will the nation turn around and say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord? When will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Now we read in Luke the details concerning the beginning of this period, the desolation of Jerusalem, that the armies would come around the city and the people should flee, and Jerusalem would be trodden down by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. And so Jerusalem is still trodden down by the Gentiles. In 1948, they gain title to portion of the land, but they do not rule the Temple Mount still. The city of Jerusalem is still divided, with a Jewish quarter, a Christian quarter, and a Muslim quarter. And so the times of the Gentiles has not completed. But it's nearly 2,000 years, and the fact that the Jewish people are gathering again in Jerusalem indicates to me that the time must be drawing near for the Lord Jesus to return, when the nation will be ready to say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And so the disciples have asked the question, what does Jesus say in response? His first comment is, Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So the first point that he makes is that each of us has a personal responsibility to be careful that we are not deceived, because there are many deceivers. If you look at Christendom today, you find extreme diversity in the teaching on a whole host of subjects, on fundamental subjects like salvation, on creation, on the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. There is great confusion. Why is that? Because people haven't been diligent to take heed not to be deceived. People have come in the name of Christ. They have studied at some theological seminary. They claim to have knowledge. They have got a piece of paper that says that they have a degree in theology. and they teach people the way of God. But they don't all teach the same message. So they are obviously not all right. And how do we discern who is right and who is not right? Well, Jesus doesn't give us an individual authority that we can say, well, you can believe what comes out of this source. No, he says individually we must take heed not to be deceived. And so we need a reference point. And of course, the reference point is the scriptures themselves. And throughout the history of the church, we find that people have turned back to the scriptures. And when they have turned back to the scriptures, they have cast away some of their practices that they had before. But no one seems to have completely shed off the false teaching of men. Now, the focus of these false teachers is to preach another Christ, to present a different gospel. And this process began in the time of the New Testament. Paul, writing to the Galatians, one of the very first letters written, is bemoaning the fact that they have preached a different gospel, which is not a gospel at all. It requires them to fulfill Jewish law. It's not good news, it's bad news, because the law simply condemns. The law does not offer salvation because nobody can keep the law. The law simply condemns. Well, Satan knows that the church's responsibility is to bear testimony to Jesus, and so he sends false teachers in who don't know what they're talking about, but claim to. And as Jesus said, they will deceive many. And so there is great confusion and often strife between different camps within Christendom, because people have been deceived and they think they are following the right path, but they have not checked out what they've been taught against the scriptures themselves. So that's the first point. Second point he makes is that there's going to be a lot of war, and there's going to be famines and pestilences and earthquakes. There's going to be a lot of trouble in the world. And so when you see trouble, don't say, oh, this means the Lord's return is imminent. It just means that we're in this stage of the Gentiles. You will hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It's been said that since the time of Christ, war has been continually raged on the earth. For all the talking about peace, man cannot find peace without the Prince of Peace. After the first great war, the League of Nations said we will have war no more. Then Hitler rose up and deceived the people and led them to fight to claim their right as German people. And so the world was thrown into war again. But the consequence of these wars, while devastating for the nations, has caused the Jewish people to gain access again to their land. For Jerusalem was delivered from the Turks in the First World War, and the British took over a mandate and divided Palestine so that the Jewish people would have a territory. And there was a real focus in the minds of some of these people to let the Jews have their land back. And now they have 10% of their historical land. Their enemies still want to take that away from them. They're striving to find a peace settlement. But it's difficult to find peace when the ones that you're trying to negotiate peace with say you should not exist. Because Satan's purpose is to destroy Israel. By destroying Israel, then the Bible is destroyed. But whilever Israel exists, the Bible is shown to be true. So the nations will fight against one another, as well as natural events, famines, pestilences, that's diseases, earthquakes in various places. These are the beginning of sorrows. It's just a taste of what's to come.